Z from Smiley, coming from Northeast Indiana, and I've got a young upstart urban farmer with me, Chris Smiley, my son. Now, Chris and I talk philosophically about organic gardening, and he's the one that introduced me to mycorrhiza. I didn't know anything about mycorrhiza. I was just a compost guy. So I'm getting more scientific. So, Chris, why don't you tell us what is mycorrhiza?
Mycorrhiza is a fungus that attaches to the inside and the outside of the root, increasing it in value and allowing the plant to uptake more nutrients at a faster rate. It'll actually go out and look for nutrients. It sends
It searches for nutrients.
different roots out that look for nutrients and that will absorb any nutrients that are in the soil. So if the soil doesn't have a high NPK,
It'll
really
search.
wouldn't matter because
It'll search for nutrients.
Yeah, it will use.
Well, I'm going to use your own. This is the new age gardening with mycorrhiza, different kinds of beneficial bacteria, fungi, and all this stuff. It's news to me. I think I've been using it in my compost all along, but now it's more concentrated. Must be more concentrated. But I'm going to use your own new fab substances to beat you at growing watermelon this year, sir. Well, what do you got to say about that? You don't have much to say. Okay, that's good. Well, let me tell the folks about who we are and what we're doing here. We are descendants of sharecroppers from Alabama. Right now they own about 240 acres altogether. And my summers were spent in Alabama on the farm, and that's how I got my gardening acuity. At least that's how I got a love for working out in the fields. So what we've got here in Fort Wayne, we've got a hunger relief project, an organic hunger relief project, and these plants represent some of the starts that I've put together in order to put them in the garden on May 21st after the frost date here in Indiana. But I've got some Grow Mix over here. Pro Mix is actually what it's called, and it's got mycorrhiza in it, and it's a mix of vermiculite, perlite, and sphagnum peat moss, and it's sterile. Don't try to grow your transplants, your starts, in like garden soil or something you mixed up or something like that. That's not sterile. Now, if you want to go to the store, you can get perlite, you can get vermiculite, and you can get sphagnum peat moss and mix it up like that. But you can't take something that's not sterile, because you're going to have that dampening off disease. Once they get to growing, right at the base of the plant, it's going to develop a fungus and fall over, and you're going to be done. But the way I've done this, I've used a little light here to make the leaves, the true leaves, kind of come out on the plants. And then once I get some leaf growth, I place them in the window here, south-facing window, and then I just keep turning them. If they start leaning, then I turn them around the next day, and then I control the growth that way. And I found out today that if I put them down here on the lower floor, that will slow down their growth too. I know I'm ahead of the ball game. I'm going to have some tall, spindly plants, but I can slow down their growth down here and get a nice, and then every now and then integrate putting them in the sun to keep them healthy. So I've got some tomatillos, I've got some California Wonder, bell peppers, got 3 or 4 different kinds of tomatoes. They're all large. I'm going to be growing large tomatoes. My clientele, that is people who are underserved, like seniors, veterans, children, disabled, impaired, they like large tomatoes they can make green tomatoes out of. So we've got that coming this year. So Chris, what do you plan to grow? What are you going to be growing this year?
I'm going to grow zinnias. I want to grow morning glories, probably about 6 or 7 different beautification plants. Of course, I'm going to win the watermelon contest. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
grow
no, I don't think you're gonna win the watermelon contest. I plan to on the total number of production, quality, sweetness. I think I'm gonna win every phase of the watermelon contest. I'm gonna put you to task.
I'm
Now
glad.
you know.
I'm glad you got confidence, but
Now you know we're going to be growing on Hoosier,
Evident.
good old Indiana farm ground that's clayish and very not very rich. So that's going to put you to your test.
Right. I'm not worried about that.
You don't have much to say, so
I'm not worried about that because I know how to inoculate the soil to get it to mimic Mother Nature better than you.
Better than I,
Yeah.
better than me.
Right.
Okay. Well, this is something the viewers will see.
Right.
Now, what we'll do is we got to give them timely posts. Now, one thing that we've got to show them when they've got to recognize that when they get their transplants going, they're going to have to harden them off. That is, put them outside in the shade for about a week. And I put mine in a cold frame. Sometimes build a cold frame. If I don't build a cold frame, I just put them in the shade and then watch the weather report. And if it gets down to where it's going to frost or something or get really, really cold, I bring them back inside. But I think I'm going to build me a nice a cold frame this time around. Basically, that's a frame of wood and plastic and maybe windows, used windows, and you use it to shelter your plants in the late spring. So you put them in there for a week before you put them in your garden. It conditions them to go into the garden. Okay. What else? What else do we have planned for this growing season?
I was gonna grow some herbs, chives, parsley, cilantro, fresh thyme, those type of plants, as well as marigolds and other beautification.
You seem mighty quiet today. I'm kind of impressed that you're quiet because you know what's getting ready to happen. You know what Daddy's getting ready to do to you out here in this garden. So what we want to do, I'm gonna grow a little cilantro too. You know, I'm growing tomatillos and cilantro and chili peppers and habaneros. So we'll have the ingredients for people to put together a good salsa, and maybe I'll have some of my Hispanic buddies, brothers, men and women make some salsa for me. But at any rate,
the reason I'm gonna beat you is because my fertilizer is calcium driven.
okay, your fertilizer is calcium driven. You know, I'm looking at a phosphorus. I'll be utilizing phosphorus and potassium on certain plants to drive them, and then nitrogen, of course, on my leafy plants. A lot of nitrogen, but my watermelons, I'm going to use a heavy dose of nitrogen going in so that I can get that big leaf growth to promote photosynthesis. So it should be interesting.
Indiana clay, but I'm gonna have super soil underneath mine.
Okay, we'll check that all out there. Next show we'll talk about what super soil is. But anyway, this is Ephraim Smiley and Chris Smiley, the understudy, coming to you from Northeast Indiana. We are the Hunger Relief people, and we're hoping to serve hundreds and hundreds of people this year with our garden. So remember, organic gardening is aiding and abetting Earth's beneficial allies with keen observation and eco-friendly deterrence of the usual suspects. I'm signing off. Ephraim Smiley here with my son Chris, the understudy. So we're gonna keep you posted on this challenge, and I think I'm gonna come out on top. Have a good day now.